Okay, in my philosophy class, it's the beginning of the semester, and we're in there for like 3 weeks or so. And then we go in there one day, me and my band friend Sydney, and we sit down, and there's only a couple people in there because I usually get there early to get a parking spot, so I get downtown into class a little bit earlier. We sit down, and we're talking, and then all of a sudden there's this kid. He comes in, and this room is like in an old building, and there's like windows lining the back wall, and we're all sitting there, and there's like 3 rows of tables or whatever, and I'm facing like Sydney, so we're like sideways, but we can still like see the windows behind us. This kid comes in, and he starts adjusting the window, like the blinds, and closing the blinds to make it super dark in the room. And I'm looking at Sydney, and I'm like, what is this kid doing? And there was this girl that was sitting behind us who thought the same thing but didn't have a filter, and she turns around and she goes, "What are you doing?" And he just straight up ignores her, and he keeps doing what he's doing. And she kept saying it louder. She kept asking him the same question. He was just ignoring her. And then he yelled in like a different language very aggressively, and she turned right back around. So he sits down, and he starts like typing on his computer, but he's like he has the computer pressed up against his chest, like the laptop, and he's typing like this. Like he can't see it. And that was weird. And then, so like the professor comes in, and he goes, "Well, why is it so dark in here?" So he goes back there to adjust pull one of the blinds up, because the lights don't automatically come on in there. Like they shut off if it's bright enough in the room. And he goes back there, and the kid starts yelling at him. He was like, "I have a medical condition. I need low light in this room." And he's like, "Okay, but there's other people in this room too." And he gets so mad. And he's like, "These people aren't here to get an education like I am." And that pisses everybody off in the room. They're like, "We're fucking here to get an education too, buddy." And so he's like, "There are other people in this room, so you can have half the blinds down on your side to accommodate your medical condition." And that's all that happened that day. So like the next week, we come in, and he does the bullshit with the blinds again. And at this point, we just ignore him. But then our professor is going through like his lesson for the day, and he says something about the blood alcohol level in like somebody's body or something like that. And then the kid the professor asks a question, and the kid raises his hand, and then he said some stuff about like the college that I'm going to being the worst college, and that nobody here knows what they're doing because they're always drunk off their ass and stuff like that. And I'm like, bro, you were just here talking about how you were here to get an education, but you're here at the worst college in the United States. What's wrong with you? And then another lesson we were going through on a different day, we were talking about religion and like if it exists and stuff like that. And the kid is sitting there openly berating like Christianity and every other religion except for his own. He was talking major shit on everybody else, and everybody else in the room was getting very upset with him. And he would just sit there, and if anybody said anything to him about it, he would get up and scream at them in a different language. And he was scaring everybody at this point. We weren't sure if he was going to come in and shoot us all. And eventually the professor had to like stand up to him, and he was like, "If you're not going to, be respectful to everybody else in this classroom, then you need to get out." And he said the shit about, nobody else being here to get an education, and how all of us were like capitalist pigs and a bunch of other stuff. And the professor decided that he was going to threaten to call campus police on him, and he just got up and left. And then we never saw him after that. So